Hi guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk about why Chiffon Yellow is my nemesis. I want to get right into it, so let's say thank you to our cool and radiant lady. I will leave some links down below to related videos, and I will also leave some links below to my consults as usual. So here is our cool and radiant lady. She looks amazing in some icy pinks, some blues, and optic white because her coloring is cool, light, and radiant. So she looks good in high chroma, cool colors. And the temperature of her best colors, as well as the chroma of her best colors, are determined by her skin undertone and not her features. And the value of her best colors is determined by her features and her contrast level. So that's why her best colors are light. So here are some of her best colors, and I talk more about this in some of my other videos where I color type her. But now let's talk about whether or not she can wear yellow and what is going on with the color yellow in general. So if we compare her against a yellow drape versus a purple drape, so purple is cool, you can see that when we look at the yellow drape, that color looks very disharmonious with her skin. It looks like it's separate, and the color on the right, the purple, looks like it blends into her skin more. And also when we look at that image on the right and we look away and we look back, we see her face first. But then even though she has a bright coloring, when we look at the image of her against the yellow drape, when we look away and we look back, or even if we try to maintain focus on her face, it always distracts from her. So the yellow, because it's not her undertone, is going to fight against her undertone and distract from her. You guys might not know this, but I've been in this battle against trying to tell cool undertones that they can wear any yellow or their own yellow for quite some time now. And I always get this argument, but Miriam, this isn't her yellow. If you just put her in a cool yellow, which is not a thing, then she would look amazing. So I want to show you guys what happens if we do that and compare her in some of her actual best colors, which are not yellow, to see the difference, and hopefully we can set our standards a little bit higher for what we consider to be a good color for ourselves versus what's not considered that great of a color. So let me introduce you to some contenders, whatever you want to call them. These are the two recommendations that I'll often hear for cool undertones. Lemon yellow, because it's a cool yellow, which is not a thing, or chiffon yellow, because, well, that is a whole other thing. But chiffon yellow is apparently not only a cool yellow, but a muted yellow. It is a muted yellow, but we'll get into chiffon later. Chiffon is a whole other story. So let's test lemon yellow first. Okay, so now we have lemon yellow versus the golden yellow that I showed. Lemon yellow is on the left, and you could say that she does look slightly better against the lemon yellow versus the golden yellow, but it's not really that big of a difference. It's not a difference of when she's wearing her best colors, her right colors, the right temperature of color versus basically the wrong colors. So the differences between these two yellows isn't really that big. And why is that? Probably because yellow just is not the right color for her at all, right? So now we have chiffon yellow. Chiffon yellow, and everyone is going to tell me, I know this, in the comments, people are going to be like, Miriam, chiffon yellow is muted. She is clearly bright. Of course, chiffon yellow is not acceptable. But then some people will say, no, she's a soft summer. She's some kind of summer. And so then she has to wear muted colors, and chiffon yellow is recommended as a yellow for some summers. So there's a lot of stuff. I'm covering all the bases. So hold tight if you are not in agreement with chiffon yellow. But you can see I don't really know which one looks better necessarily. Maybe the chiffon yellow does look better. I know some people will say that the golden yellow looks better. Let me know in the comments what you think. I personally think they both look pretty similar. Maybe the chiffon yellow is even slightly worse because not only is it warm instead of cool, it's also muted instead of bright. So it's completely not right for her coloring. So let's say lemon yellow in the previous example is her best yellow if we had to choose one. But I want to emphasize that we have to calibrate ourselves. This is a comparison of her wearing lemon yellow or draped with lemon yellow on the left and a mint green, which is one of her best colors. And you can see how this is a really big difference. Against the mint green, her skin looks glowing. When I look away and look back, I focus on her face. Her skin looks more even, especially around the eye area on the right. And on the left, you can see that that lemon yellow still fights against her, and it just doesn't really emphasize her beauty and doesn't really do too much for her in general. Now, I don't think she really looks bad against the lemon yellow. I think she still has pretty good skin, so it's hard to see major imperfections or anything like that. But in general, I would say she just doesn't look as radiant. That's the main thing. She doesn't look as radiant against the lemon yellow as she does against the mint green, and also the lemon yellow constantly distracting from her when we try to focus on her face. So those are some of the things that I look at. But is it useful at all to know that lemon yellow might be her best yellow? Yes, maybe. Maybe if there was an instance where she had to go to an event where she was required to wear yellow, then yeah, it would be useful to know that lemon yellow is slightly better than golden yellow or chiffon yellow. But in general, in terms of recommending it as a good color for a cool undertone, I think that would be a little bit of a reach. So here we have a color line. And on the left, we have warm colors, yellows, lime greens, and on the right, we have cool colors. So to the right of the neutral green, which has an equal amount of its value coming from yellow and blue, we have mint green, turquoise, sky blue, whatever you want to call those colors on the right. Those are all cool. So really, her yellow is the closest thing that really she could be flattered by if she wanted to wear a yellow is actually a cool green. So that's how far away we have to get. If you wouldn't recommend that she wears lime green, then you certainly shouldn't recommend that she wears lemon yellow, because lemon yellow is warmer than lime green. And then you could say, well, Miriam, lemon yellow is not warmer than lime green because lime green is a warm green and lemon yellow is a cool yellow. But to that I could say, you could simply look at this color line and you'll see that lemon yellow has more yellow in it than lime green. And then of course, when we compare her against these two colors, you can see that she is much more harmonious with the lime green, which still is a warm color, but at least it's not as warm as the lemon yellow. You can see that against the lime green, there's less of a competition for our attention in terms of when we look at that image, we are not as distracted by the color as we are with the lemon yellow. And then of course, when we make the transition to a cool green, we can see a pretty big difference. So when we look at her against that cool green versus the warm green, we can see that she looks much brighter and more radiant, and it brings out her natural radiance there against that cool green. We have gone from warm to cool. We had a warm green, we crossed into neutral green, and then we picked a cool green on the other side. So that's why there is such a big difference between the warm and cool green for her. And finally, when we look at her against the cool green, we can see that the color is not fighting against her. It looks more harmonious, and I think it looks great. And then, of course, when we compare her against an even cooler green, almost a turquoise color, she looks even more magnificent. I love this color on her on the right, and I think that looks amazing. And of course, when you compare that to a warmer green, then I hope you can see what I see. You can see that the warmer green distracts from her yet again, and maybe her skin looks a little bit less smooth there, but on the right, her skin just looks so smooth, glowing, radiant. Her eyes are brought out. Everything about that color on the right is just awesome on her. Well, you could say, why are we talking about greens and lime greens and mint greens when this video is supposed to be about yellow? Well, it's all the same subject because they're all in the same color line. So when we go from lemon yellow, which is a very warm color, warmer than lime green, to mint green, we can see an even bigger difference than we did between the warm green and the cool green. And I hope you see what I see. Again, you can see that against the mint green, obviously she looks amazing, and against the lemon yellow, she looks like it's a little bit separate from her. And I didn't have to do a billion drapes of all kinds of different yellows and all kinds of different greens to understand this effect, because if we understand how the colors are related, it really simplifies everything. Okay, finally, chiffon yellow. So chiffon on the left, you can see again how the mint green looks much better and her skin looks smoother there. Especially you can see against the chiffon yellow how maybe you can see some more imperfections in her skin, and even though it's a muted color, it just looks very separate from her and it doesn't focus her face in the same way that the mint green does. Okay, so why is chiffon yellow my nemesis? It has been my nemesis ever since someone commented once that chiffon yellow as a cool undertone would work for someone who's considered to be cool, like a soft summer or something, like Jennifer Aniston. And chiffon yellow, let me tell you guys what chiffon yellow is made of. It's basically yellow, and then we try to add as much blue to it as possible before it turns green, because we still want to call it yellow. And then we say, you know what, that is still not cool enough, which of course it's not cool enough because it's yellow. We need to dilute it with white to get rid of some of that pigment, to make it so that it's less yellow. And then we have chiffon yellow. And then we try to say, well, this is for cool undertones, when really what you've been trying to do all along is get rid of as much of that yellow pigment as possible. Mix it with white, mix it with blue, anything you can do to get rid of that yellow pigment. Why? Because cool undertones are not flattered by yellows. So here we have it. No yellow will look good on cool undertones. Telling a cool undertone, hey, you can wear yellow as long as it's a cool yellow, is the same thing as saying to someone, hey, do you happen to be a penguin? Well, you know what? I heard that it is actually quite a cold day, a cool day, quite temperate in the tropics today. So you should go and spend the day there. And sure, maybe the penguin will be fine, or maybe the penguin won't be fine, but it's still not its ideal climate. It's still a warm place, just like cool yellows are still warm colors. And then I really love this kind of stuff. My critics, I call them my critics. They'll say, oh, you poor thing. Your thinking of color is so simplistic. But I want to say this. Just because something is complicated doesn't mean that it's right. And oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes when people don't understand something, they actually make it way more complicated than it has to be. So most people sort of see colors in separate bubbles. So we have the blues here, the oranges here, purples, greens, reds, yellows. And then within those, we try to say, well, which ones are the cool and warm yellows? Which ones are the cool and warm reds, cool and warm, or I guess oranges, we don't have that issue for some arbitrary reason. And then for purples, we do have that issue. So very, very strange. And blues too. But oranges, no. Oranges, I mean, hopefully I've never seen them be called cool colors, but I have seen them be recommended for, I don't know, winters, which are supposed to be cool. So I don't know, maybe some people do see some oranges as cool colors. But really, they're not in bubbles, right? They are all related. So here are all the colors. On the left of neutral, we have the warm colors, and on the right of neutral, we have the cool colors. So when people come to me and ask me, what am I supposed to do? I don't know which purple is a cool purple. Well, it's pretty simple. All purples are cool purples. Not only that, but a warm purple, quote unquote, is actually cooler than magenta, and it's actually cooler than a cool red. So all purples are cool. All mint greens are cool. Turquoise is cool. Turquoise is actually cooler than mint green. And likewise, lemon yellow is obviously warmer than lime green. And of course, that's why it all makes sense now. We can look at it and say, we understand why she looks much better in mint green than lime green. And it's all pretty consistent, and it's simple at the same time. You don't have to do 1,000 drapes. You don't have to figure out your yellow, your purple. Of course, it could be helpful to know that a warm purple is going to look better on you than a cool purple if you're a warm undertone. But it's always important to remember that all of those purples are still cool. They're still not going to be some of your best colors. So when we do what we usually do, which is separate these colors into their own little bubbles and not see how they're all related to each other, then we can separate the yellows and think that one yellow is cool and one yellow is warm, because that cool yellow is cooler than the warm yellow. And then lime green is actually a warm color, and cool mint green is actually a cool color. But the blues and the yellows we get wrong because we don't really see the big picture of how these colors relate to each other. But when we put them all on the color line, we can see that when we line them up, that we've actually mislabeled two of those colors. So we have the cool yellow, so that doesn't really make sense within the color line, right? So we have warm and then cool. And if you add a little bit more blue to lemon yellow, you get lime green, and it turns warm again, right? It doesn't really make sense. And likewise for the mint green, where it's cool, you add a little bit more blue, and then you get turquoise, and that turns warm, and then it turns cool again. No, right? I mean, it's supposed to go in order. It's supposed to make some sense. So if we go in order of the color line, we can see that the lime green looks better on her than the lemon yellow. The cooler green looks better on her than the lime green. And finally, the mint green, the coolest green, looks better on her than the slightly warmer, cool green, but that's still also cool. So we didn't have to do a ton of different drapings to figure this out if we understand how all the colors are related. So yeah, super simple. Colors are related. We go from warm to cool. And, you know, it could be useful to know that lemon yellow is slightly better than golden yellow. But it's useful to really understand how the colors are related. Sure, if you understand how colors are related, you're going to already know that turquoise is better than mint green on you if you're cool. And lime green is also going to be better on you than golden yellow if you're cool. So once you have this color line in your head, sort of, you can quickly make decisions on which colors are going to be optimal given your constraints, whatever they are on that day. So finally, after all this, can our cool and radiant lady ever wear yellow again? I get a lot of complaints about my system being really limiting and how I only give a few best colors, and really, it's not exactly limiting in my opinion. Well, obviously, in my opinion, it wouldn't be limiting because I am all about learning how to incorporate your best colors and incorporate all colors into your wardrobe so that you can look your personal best, but still include all the colors that you love. So these are two images that I've shown before, but I'll show them again here. You can see that on the left, she is incorporating an optic white, which is a cool color, and she can actually wear some primarily beige outfit with that optic white right near her face. So that's one way to do it, is to wear warm colors away from the face and cool colors close to the face if you're cool. And likewise on the right, she is wearing pure black, which is also cool and radiant. And of course, she has a fuchsia lip and she has some darker liner, which is super important here because it ties in, because she's so light, that dark liner is really going to tie in that pure black and make it look a bit more harmonious with her overall coloring. And of course, she has some warmer colors there, the browns, the warm browns, the beiges, all incorporated in. And if she also wants to incorporate yellow into her wardrobe, she could wear it with its complement. So the complementary colors tend to be warm and cool. So you can, using complements, you can sort of move into a lot of other colors while still maintaining your skin looking absolutely amazing. So what she could do is she could wear this yellow top type of a thing and then wear something purple, which is the complement of yellow, right near her face to really bring out her radiant glow, and that would look amazing on her. Or if she doesn't feel as colorful, she could also just wear one of her neutrals with whichever color that she wants away from her face. So she could wear an optic white dress with a bright yellow bag, or a black dress with a bright yellow bag, and that would work really well too. And again, just keeping those colors that are not your own away from the face. She could even wear a primarily yellow outfit. She could wear a yellow dress and wear some purple jewelry, maybe a purple scarf, maybe a purple cardigan, or maybe just a white scarf or a white cardigan or a black cardigan, doesn't matter, right? Just to bring some of her best colors right near her face. That's what matters the most. It's not about limiting your color palette completely to just 3 or 4 best colors, right? So that's all I have to say for that. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, which I feel like I say every single time now, if you've made it to the end, thank you. Leave comments down below. Check out my color consults if you are actually looking to simplify your life and simplify your shopping and understand why colors look the way that they do on you, you can check out my color consults. I'll leave some links to some videos down below on just understanding some of the basics or fundamentals that my system is based on. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.